Hello students, welcome again. I'm so sorry for the technical problem. So don't worry, we will continue with the class. Okay, we are going to watch the video and then we continue with a quizzes. Okay, that's going to be right after the video. So you have to pay lots of attention to details, no distractions. We finish with a mind-provoking question about your generation. Please pay attention, since this is your generation, the video that you're gonna watch.
Ready to create a website? Head over to wix.com/go/infographics to try out one of their premium plans right now. Millennials, also referred to as Generation Y, are the generation
More volume? Okay, sure. Sorry. Let's put more volume.
generational group who follow Generation X and are typically categorized as people born between 1980 to the mid-1990s. Millennials are also sometimes referred to as Echo Boomers due to a major surge in birth rates in the 1980s and 90s. Generation Z, or Gen Z, is the generational group that came after the Millennials, born between the mid-1990s up to the mid-2000s. Generation Z is also referred to as the I generation, iGen, or post-millennials. How do these generations compare? That's what we'll be looking at today, in this episode of the Infographic Show, Millennials versus Generation Z. Though these two groups sit side by side on the generation ladder, the expansion of the internet and the leaps that have been made with the digital revolution has seen them exposed to a host of different experiences. Add to that the influence of parents from different generations, and we have plenty of scope for differences in attitude and behavior. We've reviewed what researchers have said, so we can bring you our list of 10 ways these generations compare and differ. Let's take a look. Number 1. Attention span. Generation Z processes information faster than any other generation, including millennials. They live in a high-tech world of constant updates, and having grown up with access to apps such as Vine and Snapchat, their attention span is likely to be lower than that of millennials. A study showed that while only 4% of millennials and older generations believe 13 is an okay age for owning a smartphone, as high as 18% of Generation Z members think it is an okay age. Number 2. Multitasking. A short attention span is not always a drawback, and what Generation Z lack in focus, they make up for in their multitasking capabilities. Generation Z can work on a school assignment on their computer and do research on their tablet, all while taking notes. And in the evening, they will often sit in front of the TV watching a movie, at the same time chatting with a friend on Facebook from their phone or laptop. It's head-spinning stuff. Number 3. Independent versus collaborative. 71% of Generation Z say they live by the phrase, if you want it done right, then do it yourself. Generation Z tend to be more competitive and will adopt a do-it-yourself mindset in personal or professional activities. And when it comes to workspaces, 69% of Generation Z would rather have their own workspace than share it with others, whereas millennials would opt for a collaborative working environment where they can team up with their colleagues. Number 4. The digital pioneers. 40% of Generation Z say that reliable Wi-Fi is more important than reliable bathrooms. And according to Pew Research, only 14% of US adults had access to the internet in 1995, but by 2014, 87% had access. Millennials saw firsthand how social media revolutionized the way in which we communicate. They were pioneers in the digital age, witnessing the birth of smartphones, instant messaging, and internet searching capability. Generation Z were born into this tech-immersed society and so have a very different perspective. Number 5. Face-to-face or digital chat. All this technology has also had an effect on how these generations differ with communication habits, and 74% of Generation Z say they prefer to communicate face-to-face with colleagues in the workplace. As we just mentioned, millennials pioneered many of the digital communication tools, which revolutionized how we do business. But with Generation Z preferring a more personal approach, maybe they are the ideal generation to strike the right balance between online and offline workplace communications. Number 6. Optimistic vision. A 2016 survey conducted by Lincoln Financial Group tells us that Generation Z are far more optimistic than the millennials. 50% of Generation Z say America is heading in the right direction versus 42% of millennials. 64% of Gen Z have started researching or talking to others about their financial futures by age 13. And after they've started having those conversations, 95% of those making financial plans feel optimistic about their future in general.
That's great.
Number 7. Convenience over brands. Accenture research tells us that Generation Z love tech-driven, fast shopping experiences like one-hour delivery, activated shopping, and in-store kiosks. Brands are less important, and they'll happily switch retailers who are better at providing these services. And they see shopping as a social experience. They like to consult friends and get opinions on products. They can be unforgiving when leaving reviews for retailers and are also twice as likely to consult YouTube as millennials before making a purchase. Number 8. Different ways of learning. 75% of Generation Z say there are other ways of getting a good education other than the traditional route of going to college, according to Sparks and Honey research. And Generation Z has the beauty of hindsight on their side to see how things panned out for their counterparts. Many millennials now have large student debts and have been left questioning whether it was worth it, with 44% of recent college grads employed in jobs that do not require a degree. Number 9. Tolerance. Millennials tend to be more tolerant than Generation Z, as they have generally encountered more situations in life where things have the potential to go wrong. For Generation Z, it's all about getting the job done, and problems for them usually mean it's time to look elsewhere. As an example, if Generation Z experience a technical hitch when making an online purchase, it's unlikely they'll visit that store again, whereas millennials will be more lenient and likely give the store a second chance. And finally, number 10. Social influencers are today's celebrities. Generation Z are more likely to be browsing YouTube than sitting in a movie theater. 63% of them say they prefer to see real people than celebs in their ads. So it's pretty obvious we've probably got a large percentage of Generation Z viewers here at the Infographic Show. But whether you're Gen Y or Gen Z, one thing is for sure, you need money. Do you have a job that you hate and want to start a side business for that hobby you've had since you were a kid? Wix can help you get started with a website. Maybe you also want to start a mailing list or have a custom email address.
This is just publicity, advertisement, that's right. Good. Okay, so now that you watched the video, I want you to really concentrate on what they say and what similarities you found between you and the video. And now we are going to quizzes. Okay, in that quizzes, you're going to practice what you learned today about all the generations, all right? Perfect. Okay, so let's start. Okay, you're in. Remember, the link on the chat is automatic. Let's see. Which generation grew up with technology? They were equipped with iPhones, iPads, and laptops. The millennials. Yes, the millennials. Excellent. Generation X was born between. Remember that? Yes. Yes, I think so. Exactly. Very good. Remember, millennials were after the 80s. Good. Which generation was born after the 2000s? After the I generation. Very good. Excellent. That's you. Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg is likely to be in the generation. What do you think? Z? Y? What do you think? Z? No, it was the Y. Exactly. Oh my goodness. Okay, which generation experienced the fall of Berlin Wall? It was not that long, like 40 years ago. What do you think? The boomers, the X? It was the X, very good. Because it was sort of like in the 80s, I believe. In the 80s something. That was their time. We go up again, very good. Which generation is likely to be pro-gender equality? The boomers? I don't think so. The I generation? Who else? Because there are more. The millennials. That's good. I think you are right. Excellent. That's correct. Both generations here. Which generation has already or is getting into retirement? Yeah, the millennials. No. The baby boomers, that's right. They were born in the 60s. So, yeah. Okay, let's activate this power up. The Generation Z are likely to be Z. Over 20, in their 30s, in their teen, or in their late 20s. Remember, they are millennials too. No, sorry, in their teens. So, that's correct. And this is the last one, I believe. Which generation was born before the World Wars was born? Before. Not the baby boomers, not the I generation, the silent, that is correct, or the veterans. Okay. And I think this is the last one. Which generation is post-millennial? Exactly, you. That was our mistake, no? You, the Generation Z. You're in your teen years. Let's choose a number 2. He was from generation, you remember? Y. Perfect. And that is the end. I think you were really good. That's a great score, and we have 9 correct because we corrected 1. Perfect. Now I leave you with this question. Do you think the video was truthful to you, your characteristics, your ways of communicating, your ways of being, of behaving? So? Why do you say so? Okay, Domi and Ian say completely yes. Okay. What else? Fabi says so. Gonzalo, yes. So. Yes. Okay. Perfect. Why do you say that? Okay, because you are not. You think like a million. What? Why is that? So you don't think a 30-year-old person should have a phone? Why? Grooming. Oh, okay, that's good. That's interesting that you know that. It's good. Okay, stalking on internet, bullying, virtual bullying, very good. So you're very, or people of this age are very vulnerable. That's the right word. Okay, I think that is excellent that you have that opinion. I think it's very good. It's very valid. What else? What similarities did you find, for example? Okay, so you like communication, you don't mind to communicate through WhatsApp and phone calls. But I remember that you said that you like face-to-face, so that's maybe a great difference. Why do you think is that? Why are you different maybe from the video? Think. When was this video made? More than a year ago, right? So what do you think? What's the reality when this video was released? No pandemic. Now that we have lived through the pandemic for 1 year, do you think that's changed your ways of communicating? Totally right. So don't forget, if you are looking at some material in the books that doesn't feel like updated, doesn't feel like from your time, Remember, we can always adapt it to yours. Think you just have to search. I give you the tools and you do the rest. You have to think. You have to analyze. It was an excellent class. Thank you so much, students, and see you next time for class number 2. Continue to complete your unit 1 in your course book. Okay, so we can move on to unit 2. Bye.